violence, hate speech, misinformation, personal attacks, and other conduct capable of undermining the electoral process. The accord was signed in Abuja at a ceremony organized by the National Peace Committee in partnership with the Coca Center, barely 24 hours before the statutory commencement of public campaigns and rallies for the elections. For more details, you can check Punch newspaper coming out this morning. To Daily Post newspaper, 2027 only Atiku can match Tinubu. Opposition will die if steps down. Aid. The senior political assistant to the African Democratic Congress (ADC) presidential candidate Atiku Abubakar Demola Olanrewaju on Tuesday said the momentum of the opposition would die if the former vice president stepped down from the presidential race ahead of 2027. Olanrewaju insisted that Atiku is the only candidate showing the capacity to match President Bola Ahmed Tinubu locally and internationally. For details on that, check Daily Post newspaper. Also on Vanguard newspaper, Dr. Congo Ebola outbreak. Far from being under control, WHO chief said the Ebola outbreak in the Democratic Republic of Congo is moving faster than any previous epidemic of the disease and risks spreading to more countries. The head of the World Health Organization warned Tuesday, "We must be frank, the epidemic is far from being under control." WHO Director General Tedros Adhanom Ghebreyesus told an emergency meeting on the outbreak. It had a big head start and we are still playing catch up. This in his comments after the DRC on Monday said the outbreak had killed more than 2,300 people out of nearly 5,000 cases, making it the deadliest in the country's history. For more details on that, check Vanguard newspaper. On this day's newspaper, Dangote Refinery secures $1 billion backing ahead of planned IPO. Deal comprises completed funded $600 million private placement, $400 million underwriting commitment. Transaction reflects confidence in refinery's strategic role, says Africa's richest man. Orama, transaction demonstrated the appetite for African-led capital markets. Emmanuel Hade in Abuja and Peter Uzoho in Lagos. The planned initial public offering IPO of the Dangote Petroleum Refinery and Petrochemicals has taken a significant step forward with the successful completion of a $1 billion underwriting program, strengthening the capital market foundation for what could become Africa's most consequential industrial listing. You can read more on this day newspaper. This morning on Leadership newspaper, what does she know about the spiritual world? Nigerian pastor slams Tonto Dike for opening her new ministry. Nigerian pastor has slammed Nollywood actress Tonto Dike for opening her ministry. Tonto sent the internet into a frenzy when she unveiled her new ministry, New Wine Prophetic Tabernacle (NWPT) in Abuja. According to her, the ministry is an interdenominational altar dedicated to prayer, revival, spiritual training, and the awakening of the concentrated believers. While preaching in his church, the clergyman who owns Koga Ministry questioned what Tonto knows about the spiritual world. He noted how women started disrespecting their husbands since the emergence of Mommy G-Hoes. You can check Leadership newspaper for more details. From Premier Time newspaper, Niger agency raises alarm over cracks at Kaduna Dam, warns of flood risk. The Niger State Emergency Management Agency (NSEMA) has raised the alarm over reported structural distress and feasible cracks at the Kangimi Dam in Igabi local government area of Kaduna State. The agency warned that any major structural failure of the dam could pose serious risk to communities downstream in Kaduna and Niger States, as well as the Federal Capital Territory (FCT). The Director General of NSEMA, Abdullahi Ara, expressed concern in a statement calling for an urgent technical assessment of the dam and immediate preventive measures. According to him, the development needs prompt attention, especially during the ongoing rainy season and rising flood risk nationwide. For details on that, check Premier Time newspaper. Also on Tribune newspaper, the chairman of the Independent National Electoral Commission (INEC), Prof. Johash Amupitan, has assured Nigerians and political parties that the commission will remain neutral in the 2027 general elections and will not favor any candidate or political platform. Amupitan gave the assurance on Tuesday in Abuja at the formal signing of the first National Peace Accord on issue-based campaigns organized by the National Peace Committee in partnership with the Coca Center. The event was held a day before the official commencement of campaigns for the Presidential and National Assembly elections. For details on that, check Tribune newspaper. This morning on the Nation newspaper, our monetary reforms have strengthened economy, said the CBN. The governor of the Central Bank of Nigeria, CBN, Olayemi Kadoso, has said the economy of the country has been strengthened due to the monetary reforms he has introduced in the bank, Nigerian Business Directory. He stated this yesterday in Lafia during the opening ceremony of the CBN Fair with the theme Driving Alternative Payment Channels as Tools for Financial Inclusion, Growth, and Accelerated Economic Development. Represented by the Acting Director, Corporate Communications and Investor Relations Department of CBN, Mrs. Akama Sidi Hali, the CBN governor said the reforms introduced at the bank resulted to the moderate decline in inflation, ongoing growth in foreign reserves, and the current stability in the foreign exchange market. For more details on that news, check the Nation newspaper. To Independent newspaper, Obasanjo's leadership legacy must inspire young Nigerians, Professor Obateye said. Professor Olusegun Obateye, the president and convener of the Leadership Empowerment International Conference, LEIC Nigeria 2026, has affirmed that former President Olusegun Obasanjo's commitment to mentoring younger Nigerians and promoting leadership development remains critical to the emergence of a new generation of leaders in the country. Speaking at the LEIC Nigeria 2026 conference held in Abeokuta with the theme The Gravity of Leadership Failure and Correction Methodologies, Obateye described Obasanjo as a man who loves Nigeria and Africa and whose activities are driven by a desire to raise the standard of humanity. He noted that Obasanjo's continued engagement in leadership development demonstrates his determination to serve humanity beyond political office. You can check Independent newspaper for more details. Reading from the Punch newspaper, I would have helped Tinubu win Osun, Wike said. The Minister of the Federal Capital Territory, Nyesom Wike, has said he could have helped President Bola Ahmed Tinubu secure victory for the All Progressive Congress in the August 15 governorship election in Osun State if the president had wanted to win the poll at all costs. Wike, who remains a member of the People's Democratic Party, said Tinubu deliberately allowed the election to take place without deploying the influence of the federal government to sway the outcome in favor of the APC. The FCT minister spoke on Tuesday while inspecting flood-prone areas in Maitama, Abuja. He said he would have supported the president if he had decided to use his political influence to ensure an APC victory. If the president had wanted to win the Osun State election at all costs, I would have been there and he would have won it, and there is nothing the governor can do, Wike said. To know more, check Punch newspaper from this morning. Now on Daily Post newspaper. Police nab 3 suspected kidnappers, rescue victim in Edo State. The Edo State Police Command has arrested 2 suspects allegedly specializing in kidnapping and armed robbery. The Commissioner of Police in charge of the command, Patrick Dahor, who disclosed this to newsmen on Tuesday in Benin City, described the suspects as members of a notorious kidnapping, armed robbery syndicate. Dahor said the suspects were arrested by operatives of the Violent Crime Response Unit, VCRU. He said on June 29, 2026, at about 5:30 p.m., operatives of the VCRU of the State Command, acting on credible intelligence, arrested the 2 suspects of Okada, Ovia Northeast local government area of the state. If you'd like to know more, you can check Daily Post newspaper. Also, this day newspaper. 2027 presidential election will be an easy contest for Tinubu, declares Minister Wike. Minister of the FCT, Nyesom Wike, has downplayed the threat of the opposition, bragging that President Bola Ahmed Tinubu would easily breeze to victory in the 2027 presidential election. Wike made the boast yesterday at a media briefing in relation to the just concluded Osun State governorship election, won by a candidate from a party different from the ruling party, ordering custom wall maps. The minister derided the opposition as crippled and depleted, insisting the Osun governorship elections depended on local variables, while a national election would altogether be a different ballgame. You can check more on this day newspaper. That is all on newspaper headlines this morning from New City 99.1 FM, Obadaoko, Abeokuta. Join us tomorrow morning for another package of newspaper headlines. I am Oluwasegun Adeshokon. Stay with us and have a blissful day.